Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be recapping Summerhouse Season 9, Episode 4, and it's gonna be kind of a short and sweet one today, so let's do it. Lindsay's gender reveal scavenger hunt is starting. It's like such a cute idea, but it's like, of course, it's so hilarious that Carl is there. It's a really cute idea, and I feel like there was some confusion about this online. A lot of people were like, it's so weird that Turner, her boyfriend, isn't there. Like, why is she doing this with Carl there and without Turner? But it's very clear, like, when the scavenger hunt ends and it's revealed that Lindsay's baby is a girl, like, she already knew. It's clear that both of them already knew. This is just like a gender reveal for the show and like for her group of friends. But like, obviously this wasn't her real gender reveal. None of her other friends and family were there. So it's like, what is she gonna do? Like her official gender reveal for like her ex-fiance and 6 of her friends? No, she's not gonna do that. And it is really funny because as she's explaining the rules of the scavenger hunt, it's essentially like they split up into 2 teams. If you think it's gonna be a boy, you're on one team. If you think it's gonna be a girl, you're on another team. And as she's like explaining the rules about this, nobody seems excited. Nobody's looking at her. She's standing up, everybody's sitting around in their little lawn chairs like this. Side note, before we get further into it, what is it with this confessional top that so many of the Bravo women have worn? You remember this top, right? Did you recognize it as soon as Lindsay was wearing it? It's this collared top that's sheer and it has polka dots and there's like, I think either a bra or a tank top underneath. Lindsay's wearing it this season. Kyle wore it, I think maybe last season of Beverly Hills or the year before. And then Katie Maloney wore it. I think Katie Maloney and Kyle wore it the same year when both of their shows were on at the same time. It's so weird because it's like, it's like cute, I guess. It's sort of giving like Forever 21. Like it's the kind of top I would have bought in high school, but like, is it really that cute where like every single Bravo celebrity is like dying to have this shirt? It has to be an inside joke at this point, right? Because I feel like Kyle and Katie both acknowledged that it was funny that they both wore it. But anyway, back to the gender reveal. It's so awkward for Carl. Honestly, it's like I'm kind of feeling for him a little bit. Like obviously that relationship was a disaster, but like to have to sit there through your ex-fiance's gender reveal and like I think he's honestly being a really good sport about it. I know there's a lot of hate for him, but like this summer you can really tell that he's changed, in my opinion. I think at least so far, like he's acting very normal. I feel like if it was somebody like West or Jesse, like imagine how much of a fit they would be putting up if they were in this situation with an ex-fiance. But I feel like Carl is being really mature and a good sport, so that was good to see. It's also crazy because I did not understand the timeline of just this whole situation happening. I was under the impression that like Carl and Lindsay broke up and then Lindsay got with Turner and got pregnant maybe like a couple years later. I wouldn't say I like really keep track of the timelines and stuff that closely, but I think it was literally like Carl and Lindsay broke up, and then I think she got pregnant like 6 to 8 months later with Turner, which is like, I'm not trying to like shame her at all. I think I'm just, in my head, I just did not understand the timeline. So like that really like shocked me because Carl in the confessional was like, yeah, last summer I did not have a good time. Me and Lindsay were fighting all of the time. And I was like, whoa, you guys were engaged last summer. And now this summer, Lindsay is already like, what, 4 or 5 months pregnant?
Last summer, I did not have fun a lot of the time. You start insulting me and then telling me I'm literally doing drugs. I will not allow that.
If you can lower your
I'm
tone,
upset.
maybe I can understand.
I be upset? You're allowed to be upset.
Laugh.
So it's very important to me to have a good vibe. What am I gonna do, sit in the corner and go, I don't wanna be a part of this?
After the scavenger hunt is over, we find out it's a girl. It's honestly a really cute idea. Like, it's not something that I would use. It's not like the kind of thing that I would want. But if I was at a gender reveal party that was a scavenger hunt like that, I would really like it. I thought it was really cute. But after the party, I think she's talking to maybe Danielle. I don't remember who she's talking to. But she essentially says that the reason Turner isn't there is because he's very private, which I love. I feel like that's exactly the kind of man Lindsay needs. She talks about how it's like kind of weird because he doesn't have social media. She's not allowed to tag him in anything. He doesn't want to be on the show. Like, I know she says it's weird for her, but I love that for her, and I hope their relationship continues to stay that way. I feel like that is perfect. I heard once on a podcast several years ago, maybe this was like 10 years ago at this point, but whoever the hosts were saying that in a relationship, there is always a star and a rock. And if you have two of the same type, two stars or two rocks, that relationship is not going to work out. And I feel like Lindsay and Carl were two people who were trying to be stars, and that was the issue. And I feel like now in her relationship with Turner, Lindsay is the star and he is the rock. And I think that's perfect. So now they're all at dinner in the backyard, which is really where like the bulk of this episode goes down. And Lexi and Jesse say that after he met her parents that first night, so first they went to dinner. Oh no, this wasn't that first night. Last night, this was the night before they got here. They went out to dinner with her parents, and then they went to the club until 2 a.m. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that, I was prepared to be a hater. I was so ready to be a hater and be like, no, that is so weird. Why are you doing that? People are crazy. But then they showed the pictures, and they showed the pictures of like her parents dancing at the club and like her mom doing waterfalls out of a bottle. And Lexi was talking about how she's really close to her family. She never goes out without them. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of iconic. I'll allow it. I don't need that to be me. I don't really want that to be me, but I kind of love it for them. I think it's sweet. I love that they're close. And also, like, as a woman, is there any way to feel safer than literally having your parents with you at the club? Like, I kind of feel like it's perfect. Imagine how safe you would feel dancing at the club if like your mom and dad are literally right next to you. I think it's kind of sweet. I don't know. Paige brings up the Kyle rage text. I don't remember how it comes up, but she brings it up. Kyle tries to like ask her a question, and she makes like a little snarky comment about it. And Amanda first comes in for Kyle's defense. She's like, Kyle did not get Hannah fired from the show. That's just not true. And Paige is like, listen, I don't even really care about the text. It's just that like, I don't want this, like what's happening with Craig and Hannah, to affect my relationship with Amanda. That's what she says. And it's interesting because it's like I've seen seasons 3 through 9 of Summerhouse, and I totally forgot that Hannah used to be close with Amanda too. I think in my memory, it was always that Paige and Hannah were very close and Amanda didn't really like her, and they just all dealt with living in the same house together. But then they show these flashbacks, and Paige, Amanda, and Hannah are like the three amigos. Like they're so close. They're like this perfect trio. And I was like, oh, I guess it did used to be like that. I totally forgot. And I think the reason why they had a falling out was purely just because of Hannah and Kyle fighting. That is so like, listen, I am not a fan of Kyle and Amanda together, like their marriage. I think it's incredibly toxic. I mean, I think that's like a popular opinion. I think that's what everybody thinks. But like, if your husband is causing you to lose friendships through the drama that he is creating, that is not okay. That is crazy. For you to not be able to talk to one of your best friends anymore because your husband decided to start some drama with her. Like, listen, I don't like Hannah Burner either. I really don't like, I don't think she's funny. I thought she was really annoying on Summerhouse. I really did not like her. But still, it's like Amanda was friends with her. And it's like, if you just can't respect your wife's friendship enough to like not ruin it, I mean, just what an asshole. Like, that's like really sad to me. I can't imagine being in that situation. Paige eventually winds up storming out of the dinner table. She's getting like really emotional. It's like more emotional than we typically see her. Danielle and Lindsay are like immediately trying to diffuse. I don't remember which one says that Kyle shouldn't be dragging Paige into a fight just because Craig did a partnership with another drink company, which I think is true. Why are you texting the girlfriend? Especially, it's like, I think it's just so weird with the dynamics is like, Kyle and Paige, I would imagine, probably spend more time together just through filming the show and doing press and stuff. But like, you know Craig. It's not like you're not friends with him. It's not like you don't talk to him. I'm sure he had his number. That is so weird to be texting his girlfriend being like, this is your problem now. This is your fault that he did this. As if Paige is like involved with all of his business dealings. She has her own business. She's probably the richest out of like a lot of, she's probably the richest out of the Summerhouse and Southern Charm people, if I had to guess, I think. And then Kyle says that Paige is being two-faced, and Paige hears it from the house and turns around and is like, I'm being two-faced? Like, I'm being two-faced because I've been able to stay friends with your wife and a person who your wife hates and not talk badly about anybody to anybody? Like, that makes me two-faced? No, it makes me mature, which I agree with. I think, yeah, that's fair. Just because Amanda and Hannah aren't friends doesn't mean that Paige can't be friends with both of them. Like, that's hard. I don't know if I've ever been in a trio like that. Maybe in like elementary school, but nothing like in high school and college. I don't think I was ever in like a trio, so I've never been in that situation. But that's really hard. Like a trio, two people in a trio having a falling out, it's like, what's the third person gonna do? You can't expect them to choose sides and drop the other one. That's just like, that just sucks. So like, I do think Paige is doing the best she can in that situation. And Amanda is like dying inside. Amanda's literally sitting like this at the table, full on head in her hands. And like, how many times have we seen her do that because of Kyle? I mean, I don't know how she does it. I think my thing with Amanda and Kyle is like, I feel like I need to be reminded as to why she loves him. Like, I think whenever we see them on screen, all we see is drama that he is causing, and she always looks so frustrated. She's always crying. How many times has he called her a bitch on camera? It has to be upwards of like 10. I mean, it's like insane. I would be out after the first bitch, and Amanda has stayed through years and years of him calling her a bitch when he's drunk and upset. So like, I just feel like I need a reminder as to like why she is still in this relationship, because right now it feels more like codependency. Like, it feels like she thinks she can't live without him, when like, I have a feeling she probably can. And then it just ends with Kyle telling Paige, as she's like screaming from the house, have your moment, which is like, I guess it's like fair. Paige is the one who brought it up, but this is all from a situation that you created with that text. So it's like, just silly, just dumb. And then everybody ends up leaving the table, and the chef inside asks Sierra how everything was, and she goes, I hate this fucking house. And he's literally standing there and he goes, was the food good at least? And she was like, oh yeah, the food was really delicious. I thought that was so cute. That was so funny. And then this pisses me off. Kyle goes, congratulations again to Paige for putting my marriage in a fucking blender. The only person who has ever done that is you. What are you talking about? And then it's also like, is your marriage really so fragile that your wife's best friend is able to ruin it with like one argument at a dinner table? It's like, that says a lot more about your marriage than it says about Paige. Give me a break. That was so stupid. This guy's 42. I mean, it's just so embarrassing. He is so embarrassing. And then Paige is on the bed and she's crying and she's thinking about how close she, Hannah, and Amanda all were. And Lindsay comes in to comfort her, which is so sweet given like their history. Like, it's such a turnaround. I love how close all of the women are this season. I love that there's no beef between them. I feel like this is the first season we've ever gotten that, because it's usually been like all of the women versus Lindsay, and then like maybe all of the women versus Hannah, and then also versus Lindsay. Like, they've never all been unified like this. So it's like really cute. I really like it. And then Paige is talking about how she has this big thing in her life, her podcast, Giggly Squad. I'm not a listener. I honestly didn't realize until a few months ago that she did Giggly Squad, but it's clearly by like the photos that she posts of the venues that they sell out on their tour. Clearly it's a massive podcast. It's clearly so big. So obviously it's like a big part of her life. And she's like, I already can't talk about Giggly Squad 2 months out of the year because Amanda and Hannah hate each other, and Kyle. And now she's like, I'm just trying to avoid a situation where Craig and Kyle don't talk anymore, because at that point I probably couldn't even stay in the house anymore. Like, what? I can't talk about my boyfriend and now I can't talk about my best friend. It's like, I get it. That's frustrating. And like, what? You're not going to talk to your friend because it's just so, this whole situation is so stupid given that Kyle hasn't even directly confronted Craig about this yet. Like, the only reason Craig knows Kyle is upset is because Paige probably sent him a screenshot of the text. Amanda comes in and they're both like sobbing, hugging each other. They're probably like a little drunk and that's what's fueling a lot of this like crying, but it's like really sweet. Like, they're gonna survive through this. I don't think this is gonna break them up at all. Kyle is a menace. I just wrote that down and I don't don't remember why. I just wrote Kyle is a menace, and he is. And then Amanda says she also has stupid fights with Kyle when he gets worked up like this. We know, and we've seen them, and I cannot imagine being in that situation. We get some really cringe-worthy scenes of Jesse and Lexi cuddling. I feel like every time I talk about this, I sound like such a prude. I'm not against like seeing people cuddle on TV, but like sometimes it can be too much. And I feel like Jesse and Lexi, there's just something about them that like icks me out. I don't want to see them cuddling. I just don't want to see it. It's like there's like a lot of baby talk involved, and it's just like I just don't like it. I also think this whole thing is like so fake, so I just don't care for it. Kyle and Amanda are in their room. I think this is the next morning after West slept with a different girl at his friend's house, and then Imrul brought a different girl home and then showed her to the Uber like 3 hours later. That was, been there. I literally never want to be in that situation again. But yeah, Kyle and Amanda are in their room. He issues an apology that like 30 seconds later becomes not an apology. Because at first he apologizes for making things awkward for her. And then he says, but I'm not the one who's putting things out there in the first place. Yes, you are, the text. You put things out there with the text. Then Amanda says that doesn't mean he just gets a free pass to react however he wants, which is true. Just because you didn't necessarily start something, it doesn't mean that you can just come in hot saying whatever you want and like reacting in whatever way you want, because you can very quickly become the bad guy. And then Kyle is going into his like bitchy mode. You know when Kyle gets upset and he just kind of sits there and he goes like, yeah, well, whatever. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I don't think so, but okay, whatever. You know what I mean? He gets into like that stage, and now Amanda's like, well, Paige is now in the middle of all of this, even though it has nothing to do with her. And Kyle's like, well, I'm not the guilty party, but okay, get over yourself. And then it's also like with Hannah Burner, like, sure, if Kyle didn't get Hannah fired from the show, which I don't know if he did. I talked about this earlier. I don't know how much power Kyle has in Summerhouse. I don't think he's a producer. I mean, I don't think he has the power to like get people fired, but like even if he did, it's like she hasn't been on the show for like what, 3 years, 4 years. It's like, who cares what she's saying on a different podcast? Let her say whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's not like it's gonna affect you. Then in the car on the way to the beach, Jesse says he's concerned that Lexi is a jealous girl. And it's so funny because I'm like, oh, what's giving you that impression? And then he goes, Lexi told me to stop commenting on all of your pictures. And it's so funny because if you see the comments that Jesse makes on other girls' pictures, on like the girls in the house, he's like, you're so fucking hot. Like, holy shit. Oh my God, sexy, like fire emojis. It's like so clearly like thirsty comments. And then Paige is like, no, but Amanda's married. It's fine. And I'm like, listen, like he wants you guys. Like if any of you tried to hook up with him, he would very happily hook up with you. It's like, yeah, sure, it's like friendly, but also like if he had the opportunity, he would take it. And this is clearly Jesse starting to feel trapped in the situation that he's created with Lexi, because I don't think he expected Lexi to be like a woman who wants something serious. I think he thought she would be more fun. And now she's making all of these comments that are like, I don't want you commenting on other girls' pictures. I tend to be really jealous. I don't want to hook up with you unless I know we're only pursuing each other. And I think Jesse is now realizing he got himself in way too deep, and this is him planting the seeds of like wanting to pull out of that situation, because now he's like, well, I don't want to be dealing with like a dramatic breakup in the house. And it's like, yeah, everybody else in the house has warned you against going too fast with her, and that is exactly what you ended up doing anyway. And then we end the episode with all of the gang just sitting at the beach, and Kyle saying that he doesn't want to fight with Paige, but he wants to know where she stands because she's in the middle of it. And then he pulls her aside to talk, and the episode ends. Kind of like a weird place to end the episode because it didn't feel super tense, but I imagine we're just gonna pick up right with this in the next episode. That would be super interesting and kind of fun if it was like Kyle versus Paige for the rest of the season. I definitely think this is with the breakup with her and Craig that we know already happened. Like this definitely is probably gonna be a more Paige-centric season, which is good because I know Paige gets a lot of hate for being like, She's sort of like the audience surrogate in a way, sort of like Cameron on Southern Charm, where like she gets to comment on other people's drama and other people's messiness, but she never really shares any personal details about herself. Like, we really don't know anything about her besides like her relationship history and the fact that she's Italian. So I kind of like the idea of Paige being in the hot seat a little bit and Paige getting involved in a little bit of the drama, because she's never been able to do that. And I think people who are that way on reality shows, it's like you can only coast for so long as the audience surrogate before people kind of realize like, wait, what about you? You're not getting involved in any of this. We don't know anything about you, but you just get to go in the confessional and like make funny comments about other people. Like, they're not gonna let you get away with that forever. But all of that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens in the next episode. I can't wait to see how this stuff with Paige and Kyle plays out and see if maybe like Craig starts getting involved with it more. Because I think in the previews he visits, or he visits because it's Summerhouse. She wouldn't go to Charleston. So he visits, so hopefully he'll also get to talk to Kyle face to face, and that'll be like really exciting too. Keep an eye out because I have a recap of the Love is Blind weddings and reunion coming up, and then I also posted, if you missed it, a recap of the Traitors finale and reunion. I posted that I think like 3 or 4 days ago. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.